statistics are out the window. These are real lives. And when you feel Africa with all of your senses, you see it, smell it, feel the warmth of the hands who are thanking America for the malaria nets and the HIV medicine and the chance to go to school and the textbooks, and their smiles are so warm. Secretary Powell, General Powell, and National Security Advisor Condi Rice, they came to President Bush and were talking to him about the scourge of HIV/AIDS in Africa. They said, you could lose an entire generation of people. And then there was also a question President Bush asked about a moral obligation, that if you have the means to be able to help people, the pill, don't you have a responsibility then to try to get it to them? For President Bush, faith was an important part of his life for many reasons. So when he became president, he was very comfortable talking about his faith because it was something that he lived every day. I think he gave a lot of credibility, not just to faith-based programs in America, but overseas as well. And a place like Living Hope, is there a better name? They take care of everybody, regardless of faith, but that's what their faith walk tells them to do. Where we were had been a hospice. I go into the ward, and the first thing I thought was, they're gonna think I'm here for myself. And in some ways, I think that started off being true. That I was gonna go there because I was gonna help them, and I was gonna get this X, Y, and Z out of it. And it changed in that morning. When I walked in, there were 8 women in the beds, and they were watching The View, but they weren't really watching. It was just background noise, and I think a lot of them were deep in thought. But I noticed this one woman picking at the fingernail polish that was left on her nail. And I just had a thought, okay, let me go get my husband. So I went to the men's ward and got my husband and said, can you take me to the store? I bought manicure sets for the 8 women that were the patients. That was when they all started talking to me. What I realized then, which is a good lesson for me to learn, is that women everywhere have a connection around the world. It doesn't matter where you go. I found this in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Russia, China, Korea, Thailand, Mexico. Everywhere we went, there is a universal language between women that you don't even need words. There's just a connection in the heart and in the eyes. And that day probably changed my life the most and for the best.